Look at her. There she is, my favorite Warframe. Which is kinda sad, because Banshee just sucks. Like, Banshee just straight up just sucks. Like, no sugarcoating it. And that is even more sad. That is even sadder when you factor this into the equation. I have used Banshee more than Eidolon Hunters use Chroma. Yeah, like I know, I know. Like, why would you do that to yourself, man? Well, if you like Banshee, you're in the right place, because I'm gonna explain three things today. I'm gonna explain what do I use Banshee for. I'm gonna explain how I make her work for that purpose, and I'm gonna offer some solutions in case they try to fix her someday, in case they try to rework her. So, what do I use Banshee for in this game? I use Banshee to have fun. When I say to have fun, I mean to be able to use any gun I want, even if it's off meta, and be able to kill high level enemies with it. That's exactly what I mean. If I have a gun that doesn't work very well, but I really want to use that gun, I can just get Banshee, which is my favorite frame, and together they kill high level enemies because of how her 2 works. So that is my use. It's not to be meta, it's not to be efficient, it's to have fun. Okay? Now that that is clear, I can go into the reasoning on the things I use to make that purpose work. So, what does Banshee need? Banshee needs to use her 2, because whenever you use her 2, enemies get vulnerabilities on their body, which then you shoot with literally anything and you do millions of damage. So Banshee needs to exist and be able to use her 2. Okay, so in order to exist as Banshee, which is something that is way harder than it sounds because you're Banshee, you need to be able to survive. So we use Brief Respite, so you cast abilities and you get shield gating, so you don't fucking die. You use Natural Talent, so you are able to cast those abilities quickly, so you don't get stuck in place and you don't fucking die. You use Adaptation to get damage reduction, so you don't fucking die. You use Umbral Fiber plus Umbral Vitality plus Intensify, so it affects the other two even though you don't need this much strength. So you get the fucking funny numbers in the survivability, so you don't fucking die. And you use Arcane Guardian, so you get another 900 armor, and you get to the soft cap, which comes around 2000 armor, which gives you around 90% damage reduction, so you don't fucking die, and you reach that level of armor because we are using 2 armor shards, which one of them could be even better because the other one could be Tauforge. So you don't fucking die, and we get some shield capacity, so we get a little better shield gating, so you don't fucking die, and we get parkour velocity because it's fun, and also helps you not die because you're fast. Also, you can just have here just whatever. I've just added some strength because why not? Like bigger number, big number goes haha. And that is the build. Also very important. You get a survivability ability on your 4 because your 4 is literally useless, even in low levels, I think. So I use Condemn because Pillage, like, yeah, I have a Pillage build and it's good. It's good. The problem with Pillage is that you don't need the armor strip of Pillage because you already have your one. With Sonic Fracture, which is 100% armor reduction with just 135 strength. So yeah, you're just wasting pillets with Banshee. You're just wasting it when you can get the same amount of shields or more quickly for cheaper, and you also get some CC, and the enemies become really easy to headshot, which is something that you will probably want to do with a frame which uses weapons to kill her enemies. So that's the reasoning behind Condemn. You can also use Gloom. You can also use Gloom if you want. And I would probably do the following adjustment. No, actually no. I wouldn't make any adjustment to this build if you were to use Gloom. Yeah, this is something you can do. Yeah, this is something you can do. And that's pretty much it. Like, this is my preferred build. And with this build, as long as you press your buttons and you move around, you won't die. And you will kill shit. And if I sound sad, it's because I am. It's because I've spent this much forma on her to try to make her work. And she does. But it shouldn't take this much effort. And if you put this much effort into a frame, you should be able to just fucking destroy everything. But this is not the case. So, at any rate, let me show you how this works with this example. Like, the full main prime is not that much better than the full main. Like, it's not. So it's just basically a straight up full main. And this is an old ass build with not even serration at full level. Not even an arcane, non-prime mods, no galvanized mods, no nothing. Like, this is just a straight up 2017 full main build. It's what it is. Let's just one-shot Steel Path enemies with it. Yeah, that's what she can do. So we have here a kind of varied assortment of enemies that you might find playing this game. And I'm gonna spawn them on the Steel Path level 145. So you just move around, you cast your 3 so the enemies are silenced, you cast your 2 so you get the vulnerability points, and then you can use your Condemn so you get armor and the enemies are completely stuck. And you're able to kill them even with a completely shit weapon from like 6 years ago. And if that's not enough, then you just press your 1 and they don't have armor and they die. Yeah, you can also do this funny thing where they can get stuck in the air because of Condemn, which makes it really easy to shoot them when they don't have armor, and you just murder them even with a shit gun. Okay, so that's what Banshee does. She can just get a gun like this and go to town with it, and it kind of works. That's Banshee. That's Banshee in a nutshell. And keep in mind, yeah, like, I have stupid levels of survivability. Added onto this build, you can still die. You can absolutely still die using this build. So yeah, that's what Banshee does. And of course, if you were using a good build, which this isn't even optimal. I just use it because I like this build. But if you were using like an optimal build, then you would just fucking one-shot shit. Yeah, you can do this. You get your enemy stuck. You use the armor strip, and they just completely get destroyed. And if I find the one who is casting the damage reduction to them, and it dies, then yeah, then just Banshee just becomes fucking absolutely stupid, and she can just one-shot a level 9,000 enemies with a full main. Like, she can absolutely do that if you want. Yeah, that's what Banshee does. You can have fun with her. You can just jump around and play the game and not be lazy with her. And it's fun. It's fun. You can of course use Gloom if you want. You can use Gloom if you want. And you'll see some success with it. And you get the shield gating with your 1. Because you have a big amount of max energy with prime flow, so you can use your 1 for shield gating. and CCing the enemies, and you're kinda safe. You're kinda safe, but this shit is inconsistent as fuck. Let me tell you that. Yeah, you can also use Gloom if you want. And because you have Arcane Energize, because you do, right? Because you're a fucking sweat like me, you have Arcane Energize, right? Yeah. So you can just use that. And yeah. As you can see, I'm not very happy with it. And don't get me wrong, I can absolutely use this build and just complete any content in the game, and it's actually what I use. Like, I play Banshee all the time with this build. But it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this, because Banshee's problem is not only the fact that she cannot survive unless you spend this much into a build. The problem with Banshee is that her kit just doesn't work. Your one is literally useless unless you have her augment. So that's one less slot in her kit. Like, you need the augment. And even with the augment though, like 70 meters, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, which you can make bigger, but if you make it bigger, then her 3 becomes less useful. So yeah, like, her 1 is just trash. Her 2 is good, I guess, but it doesn't work on DOTs. It only works on the initial damage that you do to an enemy. So if you hit the vulnerable point with a gun, and that gun generates a slash proc, that slash proc is not gonna get multiplied by its sonar. So you're kind of more limited to the guns that you can use. And her 3 should honestly just be a part of her 2, because it's kind of useless. Like, yeah, it gets the enemy stuck into place, and you can do what I'm about to do with her. You can do what I'm about to do with her. You can... Well, wait a fucking minute, by the way. Yeah. Like, you can use Gloom, and then you use your 3, and... Yeah, like, the stun lasts for a long while because they're on Gloom, and they're slowed. So yeah, that kinda gives you some survivability. Yeah, like, you can do that. But outside of that interaction, it's nothing good. Like, it's not. It's just not. It's not good. What the fuck is going on here? Oh, okay. So yeah, her 3 also sucks and should honestly just be a part of her 2. And her 4 is straight up useless. Like, even with the augment, like, it just doesn't do enough damage because it doesn't scale with enemy level. So it does nothing. And it doesn't synergize with anything else in her kit. Like, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't do more damage to enemies that have her 2. It doesn't make the silence longer. It does nothing. It just does nothing, so it's just an empty slot that you can fill with whatever. So you have a Warframe that has counterintuitive interactions between her abilities, and most of the time, no interaction between her abilities. So you just have a 1 and 2 which are usable, a 3 that is kind of complementary, but I would change for literally any other thing in her kit, and a 4 that doesn't work. That's Banshee. She's like C+ tier with this build, and maybe C- or D tier without this build. That's what she is. So what would I do in order to make her better? Well, if you want to keep her identity, which her identity is a lot of damage but very squishy, I would make her survivability conditional. So, I would maintain her normal 4, but I wouldn't use it for damage. You would send a wave that would reach a point, maybe scaling with duration or range or whatever, and then it comes back. So imagine the effect that her 4 does with the augment. It expands and then comes back. And when it's close to you, if you hit your 1 on time, you throw it back again. So it goes around and comes around, and goes around and comes around, and every single time you hit Sonic Boom on time, it goes again with more damage. That would be the thing that would scale the damage on your 4. Also, I would apply another sonar instance to each enemy each time that 4 hits them. So you have a reason to use your 2, you have a reason to use your 4, and you have a reason to use your 1. I would also maybe move the silence effect to her too, which would add even more CC, because as I've just said, sonar would be re-triggered every single time you hit the enemies with your 4, which you would keep going with her 1. So you would stun lock the enemies, essentially. So you would have that kind of questionable survivability, but at least more interesting than what you have now. And because you would be casting your Sonic Boom all the time, because you need to make your 4 go again, that would open up the opportunity for shield gating. And then her actual 3 could be just whatever, I guess. Maybe get an effect on her 3 that gives her shield every single time that you hit the enemies with her 4 or something like that. So you go full circle and you're just worried about making your 4 go forever and not losing the rhythm. I don't know. That's just some ideas. So yeah, that's what I would do with her. And I'm sad now that I've been thinking about this for a while. And I've spent years trying to make her work. And every single time I try, she gets worse because of the meta. And this is the best Banshee build that I have ever done. It's not the most viable, but it's the most fun because you just move around and cast your abilities. But it's not good. It's not good. And I'm a sad man right now. So yeah, that's what I do with Banshee. So play her. I guess she's fun. And let me show you what she can do in Steel Path. And then I'll go cry. I'll go cry to a corner in my room. Okay, okay. So we can just go to the Cuba Fortress by ourselves on Steel Path and then just kill some shit. Which doesn't stand a chance against her.
Scans show Grenier are harvesting Kuba nearby. Set off the alarms to
So we wait for the enemies.
Kuba catalysts. Predictable. As expected, Grenier have shut down the environmental systems.
And there they are. We cast our 3, we cast our 4, we get shields. We cast our 1, enemies have no armor, they just die with whatever weapon. Even this piece of shit Incarnon weapon. But I like this Incarnon weapon, so I can use her with Banshee. And it kinda works. It just kinda works. And now I get the Incarnon activation. And it works even better. And it does that to the enemies because they are vulnerable because of her 2. And whenever you kill someone, the 2 expands and affects other enemies, and then you see all the numbers. Then you see all the numbers in the game. Yeah, that's what she does. She just kills shit. Using her whole fucking kit in order to be able to do so. You can also use worse guns than this, like the Fulmin Prime. And it works.
Life support incoming.
Let's get the Merciless going, and yeah, now that we got the Merciless going, it can kill shit again, even if it's not a very good gun, because the projectile is kinda big, so it always hits a vulnerable point in the enemies, and because it always does that, it always kills, even without the armor strip. But you can also armor strip, and then you just shoot them and they die, and that's what Banshee does. She just makes every single enemy receive every single damage in the planet and they die. But the problem is, you could already do this with a good gun. But you can, like, for instance, use a Stropha with a shit build and enemies die. Because you're Banshee. And they don't have armor, so you do millions of damage and the enemies die. Yeah, I mean, she kinda works. She kinda works. And as you can see, I'm having literally zero trouble surviving. But this is because I'm being lucky, and at any point I could receive a bombard rocket and just implode. Even through the cumulative 1500 armor which I have, and the damage reduction of my adaptation, I could still die by a bombard shot. So yeah, like again, like, this is not good. It is what it is. And when enemies don't have armor, they just die. Yeah, this is her. This is what she does. It just kills enemies. You can, of course, also use the full auto fire on this Fulmin, and enemies would die. Somewhat fast, kinda fast. Not optimally by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, they die. They die if you shoot at them. That's what happens when enemies don't have armor in this game. Which usually happens is that they die. Yeah. And again, like, a full horde of enemies, and they cannot shoot me. They cannot shoot me dead. Because of how this build works. And of course, like, I am actually having fun. Like, I sound dead inside, but that's because I have to explain this shit. And yeah, like, you can just shit on the... completely defecate on the Acolyte, because that's what she does when she's allowed to use her to on enemies. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's what Banshee does. That's what Banshee does. Can we get, like, a rework? Can we get, like, a rework already? Like, this is a call for help. Like, this video is a call for help. This is what no rework does to a motherfucker. Oh my god. This is like no Sonic pussy does to a motherfucker. So yeah, she works.
The raid is off to a successful start.
Let's just leave. Let's just leave.
Extraction is ready.
And I forgot how the fuck I'm... Yeah, it's here. It's here. I always get confused by that part on the Kuba Fortress.
Tenno, extraction is ready.
Yeah, I know, Lotus. Calm down, calm down. So yeah, that's what Banshee does. That's what she's able to do right now. Please rework her. Please write to Digital Extremes and tell them that Banshee is one of the least played Warframes in the entire game, and that she honestly needs a rework. Don't be rude about it. Don't be rude about it. Just try to explain that she needs one. And maybe someday we'll get it. Right? Right. Have a nice one, boys. See you later.